This is the Topo MTN Racer 3, and I'm about to take it for my first run. I'm doing quite a few trail races this season, winter and spring of 2023-24, so I figure I should break these in because it's been a while since I've had a dedicated trail shoe. And Khan is not a fan yet, but we'll see how we do with these in this mango espresso colorway. Good afternoon. Well, it's afternoon here now, and we're here to talk about the Topo Athletic MTN Racer 3, or MTN Racer 3. I'm going to assume that stands for mountain. I did not run on any mountains in this shoe. There are mountains nearby, ones that I will probably run on later in the season, but I mostly just took it on single track trails, a little bit of double track here and there were definitely rolling hills, some nice varied terrain and varied surfaces. But this is right now the one and only trail shoe that I'm running in. I mean, it's not the only one I have. I have a Hoka Torrent, the first version of the Torrent, that I just don't really run in anymore. There's nothing too wrong with that shoe. It just it wasn't really doing what I wanted. It was fine. I wanted something new, and this is something that I could train in and race in, because I'm doing a lot of trail stuff this season, but I'm not going to be getting a whole arsenal of trail shoes. So this is a good training shoe, but it is light enough and nimble enough that I think I can race in it, at least for the distances and paces that I plan to race. It's not like I'm going to be doing trail 5Ks in this shoe. So let's just go with a general description first. In my size, a men's 9.5 US, it's probably right around 10 ounces, and I'm kind of guessing that. I think the sample size in a men's 9 is in the high 9 ounces. So we're calling it close to 280 grams. It's certainly what it feels like. I try not to fixate too much on weight, because weight is a number, and shoes often feel lighter or heavier than they actually are. They run lighter, they run heavier. And it's a trail shoe, so it's not like it needs to be all that light. Trail shoes are meant to be a little bit more substantial. It is a Topo athletic shoe, so it's going to have a foot-shaped toe box, similar to Ultra. And Topo was doing that just as soon as Ultra was, so Ultra cannot claim to be the only foot-shaped toe box company. It is using their Zip Foam EVA midsole, and from what I understand, it is a slightly softer compound of Zip Foam, but Zip Foam itself is a little bit firm as far as EVA goes. I feel it's the right level of firmness for a trail shoe. I haven't really done any road running on this except for about a half a mile, maybe up to a mile total out of the 30 or so miles that I've done in this shoe, and that was mainly just to get to trailheads. And of course, like any trail shoe would, it feels a little bit stiff and clunky on the roads, but it's not meant for the roads. On the trail, where you have a little softer, more variable and forgiving surface, the response is good. There's no rock plate in this shoe, but I think with the amount of stack, the amount of foam in there, I felt well protected. I never really felt like I was missing a rock plate or any kind of plate, any kind of propulsive plate like a P-Bax plate or a carbon plate. There are trail shoes that include those road racing components, but I don't really see the use. The whole value of a trail shoe, I think, even a performance trail shoe, is being able to adapt to the surface. And I think this shoe does decently well at it. It's flexible without being too flexible. I feel supported in this shoe, and a lot of that has to do with the foot shape. As you are familiar with my review from the Topo Cyclone 2, I do like the occasional shoe with a wide toe box, a foot-shaped toe box, and since you know I wear in G&G toe socks, I like having my like having my toes be able to splay, especially on a trail surface where I want to stay stable and upright. I did roll my ankle a couple of times today on a 30K run, but that did not have to do with the shoe. That had more to do with my weak ankles. I've been road running a lot lately and been spending time off of the trails, so a lot of my stabilizer muscles are weaker for it. So I'm really kind of trying to build that up before I have some of these races. Upper, very comfortable. It is a single layer of mesh, but it's comfortable and it's durable. The tongue and the heel padding the padding is nice. It feels comfortable without being overly built up, but it's also not totally unsupported. It feels like a trail shoe should. It feels protected. I like the lacing system. I like how these little tongue-tied loops there, that's what Brooks used to call that technology when they did it, keep the tongue centered. There is a gusset in the tongue. There's a gusset on both sides, but I had no problem with the tongue moving around. There are hooks here in the front and in the back if you want to attach a gaiter. I have no need for gaiters on the trails that I'm running, but it's a nice consideration. The midsole, I talked about the zip foam. It's, I think, the right level of firmness for a trail shoe that I'm planning to spend a long time in. Outsole, I think these are about 4.5 millimeter lugs here. I found them to have good traction. I have not run on really sloppy conditions yet. I have run mostly on single track, but that single track has been mostly dry. We have drought conditions in North Carolina right now, and I kind of wish there was a little bit of mud just to make those trail runs even softer and even more forgiving on the legs. But I haven't even cleaned these shoes at all. You can tell there's still a little bit of dirt there, but this shoe does not hold on to a lot of dirt. It doesn't hold on to a lot of mud. I think it sheds it really easily. This is a Vibram Mega Grip outsole, so I find it grips really well in most trail conditions. Again, I haven't run in the wet yet, but I have no complaints about this outsole or this midsole as far as a shoe that I plan on training in and racing in. I think if you're going to buy one trail shoe for training and racing, you're going to look for something similar to this. I tried it alongside the Saucony Peregrine and the Ultra Superior. The Ultra Superior used to be my favorite trail shoe back in the day. This one just seemed like it was more what I wanted. I think as I'm older than I was the last time I ran in the Superior, I want something a little bit more substantial, even to run fast in. And the Peregrine felt great. It felt nimble, but this seemed a little bit more forgiving. I think if I'm going to be doing a race that's going to be 2 to 3 hours, I would rather have this on my foot than the Peregrine. And I did not try any of the shoes that are using, some of the more high-tech foams like Fuel Cell. The New Balance has a carbon-plated Fuel Cell trail shoe. Saucony has a couple of shoes that use Power Run PB, one of them with a carbon plate, one of them with just a plastic rock plate. Did not try those. Was not interested in putting that kind of performance shoe on the trails. Just something to train in and occasionally race in at a decent pace. That was my goal for this shoe. So how did it do? Well, I never felt uncomfortable in it. I felt stepping into it that the fit was right, and I felt like I could, take it out for some fast strides. I could take it out for easy runs. And if I'm going to buy one trail shoe, then I don't regret having this shoe. One change I did make. The shoe came with these Ortholite sock liners, which are pretty minimal as far as sock liners go. They look like they're nice and contoured like that, but they're meant to be just a sock liner. There's not much to them. I try not to read other reviews or listen to other reviews, but having absorbed a few other reviews, I have seen complaints about the shoe holding water. Again, with drought conditions, I can't speak to that, unfortunately. But from what I understand, it's mostly the sock liners that hold the water. And people will change those out, and there's no problem with that. I didn't have a problem with the sock liners, but I did get some aftermarket Topo sock liners. These are the men's FKT sock liners. I believe it was $20 from Topo. This is a beaded foam that it's made out of. If I were to compare these, this is definitely a little bit more substantial, a sock liner. Still flexible, but you can tell in this lighting that beaded foam not only grabs the shoe, you can also feel it under your foot. And it kind of feels good, especially with, you know, toe socks, to kind of grab that, that beaded foam. I like the feeling. I like that little bit of proprioception. And it adds a little bit of cushioning too, because if I were to guess, I would say this beaded foam is a TPU compound. It doesn't add a lot of weight, but it's also water resistant, if you can read that there. So I imagine if it's not false advertising, the hydrophobic qualities of it would allow it to shed the water a little bit more. The complaints I've heard are from people who sweat a lot, especially in their feet. My feet don't really sweat a lot. I don't sweat a lot, period, but especially my feet, you know, stay dry. So I don't think I would have any problems. But having this little extra bit of aftermarket in there turns this from what I think is a pretty good trail shoe to, I would say, an above average trail shoe. I don't compare this to a lot of trail shoes because I don't have a lot of trail shoes. This is from the context of me having one trail shoe to train in and race in. And for that, I think this is all I need. It is, I think it retails for $150 in the United States. You might be able to find some versions of the Mountain Racer 2. I think Topo has that on sale for closer to $100 on their website. However, this shoe has 3 more millimeters of zip foam than the Mountain Racer 2. So if you're looking for something more minimalistic, but still like this foot shape, then see if you can get a deal on the old version. If you want something that is a little bit more protected, but still performance-based, what I would think is performance-based for a trail shoe, then this might be worth that premium. And then it would be an extra premium to go for that midsole if you were really worried about that. But I would try the shoe out before you go for an aftermarket midsole. Yeah, I think that's all I have to say about the Topo Athletic Mountain Racer 3. So if you have a place where you can get this at a local retail shop, go ahead and try it on. Luckily, there are a couple of choices in the Charlotte area that sell Topo, and I hope that more retailers are going to carry them as a brand. So if you have any questions about it or comments about the Topo trail line, that could certainly educate me, leave them in the comments. Thanks for watching. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and ding the bell for notifications. That's LSD. All right, guys. Thanks.